Hello friends and welcome back to another video, and today I'm doing a book wrap up the month of April, and holy crap, this was my best reading month ever. I have had so much fun reading this month and I am so excited to talk all about all of the books I have read. So if you are new here, welcome. My name is Kirsty. I'm 26. Sorry, that's a bit loud, isn't it? I live in Adelaide with my little family, which is my husband Hayden, my two beautiful daughters Harper and Marley. Harper is going to be 2 in July and Marley here is 11 weeks old. I just cannot believe how fast time is going that I have an 11-week-old already, but it is what it is. I pretty much just vlog my life and then I make book videos whenever I can. Honestly, life with 2 under 2 is pretty hectic, so we come and we go. I am currently obsessed with reading. This month I read 10 books, which is the most amount of books I've probably ever read in my life in 1 month. So I'm going to try and jump straight into it so that we are not here forever, because I also would love to add in my TBR at the end of this video as well for May and see what I can do in May as well. Let's get up the books I have read. First book I read in May was In a Jam by Kate Canterbury. Now I feel like this book has like mixed reviews. I know a few people who have read it and not been able to finish it. I know a few people who have absolutely loved it, and I know a few people who have sort of like loved it and then not finished loving it. And I understand, because I blew through the first like 150 pages of this book and then it got kind of boring for like 100 pages and then it got good again. And so I feel like it was a bit of a strange one. But if you don't know what In a Jam is about, it is about a girl called Shay who inherits her like step grandmother's farm. She has a tulip farm in like a small town where Shay used to live. Shay is given the farm and it's somewhere she used to go, and she lived there for a while with her step grandma. She's had kind of like an up and down life. Yeah, she inherits this farm when her step grandmother passes away. Now there is a little bit of a clause in this. One of them is that she has to live in this farm for a year, and the other is that she has to get married within that year. Now Shay literally just was, like the first chapter is her being stood up at the altar basically. So she's definitely not in the mood to be getting married anytime soon. She has literally just ended her relationship. So she goes to the farm and just kind of wants to escape her life for a little bit and decides, yep, I'm just going to go live there for the year and just enjoy what I have left of this farm before it's gone basically, because she knows that she's not going to get married in the year, so she wants to just enjoy what's there. Have some time away from her life and everything that's just happened and just kind of escape. When she gets there, she bumps into an old friend called Noah, and they sort of had this friendship when they were younger and it goes from there. Now obviously then it's a romance from there, so you can understand what's going to happen, but I won't spoil how any of it happens. But the first like 100 pages of this book honestly were like incredible, and I was reading and I was like, this is going to be a 5-star 100%. I am obsessed with this story. And then I don't really know why in the middle, but it just got a little bit average for a minute there, and then I got invested again in the end. There is a single dad trope. Noah is caring for his niece, like it's not actually his daughter, but he is the guardian of her, and it was good. I still rated it a 4.25, and I really loved this book. But I do just find it was weird how I like flew through the first like 150 pages in like a day, and then it took me like a week to finish it still in the end, because I was then like kind of like slowly reading it. It was very strange, but I do highly recommend because I did thoroughly enjoy. So yeah, that was my first book of April. I then read Tattered by Devney Perry. Now if you know me, you know I'm a pretty big Devney Perry fan. I'm slowly working my way through her backlist and all of her different series that she has. I have read all of the Edens that are out so far. I have read all of the Calamity Montana series that is out so far. I have read Coach, and now I have started the Lark Cove series, and so it starts with Tattered, and I rated this a 5-star. This was incredible. When I was reading it, I was then like, oh my god, I have been holding out on this series and it's better than the Calamity Montana series, at least that like the first book. I was like, wow, this is literally even better. So I was like, holy crap, I'm obsessed. So this was a 5-star read for me. Tattered is about a girl called Thea, and she lives in a small town called Lark Cove. She had a very rough upbringing. There's a whole story there, but basically she works in this small town with her like surrogate mum, kind of like her sort of the person who was always there for her when she was growing up, and then also a boy from her past who is like her best friend. Now, oh, you've just spewed on me. Lovely, thanks darling. Now Thea in the past had a one-night stand with someone and ended up getting pregnant. Now this was someone she did not get his details. They literally just had a one-night stand, never spoke again. She didn't know, she only knew his first name basically. And basically this man turns up in the small town as pure coincidence, and he is looking to, he has like a foundation and he owns the camp that is in the small town. Basically there's a summer camp and he owns it, and he buys this camp and wants to run it basically. So they run into each other and he obviously does not know that they had a child together, and then finds out. So from there, I love it because it's very realistic in the way that they have real problems. There's no just miscommunication, there's no like crappy drama. It's like he has come to this small town just for a business opportunity and then would be going back to New York, but has found out that he has a child living here. I think she's like 6, I have to double check, I can't even remember. But basically he then has this like moral dilemma of like, I want to be a part of my daughter's life, but also I have a life in New York. And it's just incredible. I honestly flew through this, I think, in 2 days, which when you've got 2 children, that is very quick to be able to read a book. And I just loved it. So I highly, highly recommend reading Tattered. And then I have continued the Lark Cove series, which I will get to shortly. But that was a 5-star from me and I absolutely loved it. I then picked up Heartstrong, which is by Elodie Pullen. I have spoken about this a few times on my channel. I don't know necessarily in book videos, but in my vlogs, I have spoken about this a lot. This book broke my heart, put it back together, continued to break it over and over again basically. If you do not know who Elodie Pullen is, she is an Australian and her partner Chumpy passed away. Bless you! Bless you! Her partner Chumpy passed away in a shallow water blackout in 2020, and basically it's about like their life together, her life for and during and with him, and then after him. It touches on how she came to have their daughter Minnie, which was through sperm retrieval. Sorry, my camera just died, so apologies if the framing just changed. But it goes through all about her having sperm retrieval and having their baby Minnie, and then her dad and him being unwell whilst grieving her husband whilst having a newborn. And it's just wild and so heartbreaking. All obviously based on a true story. It was just beautiful and I just cried lots. And I highly recommend, but I also would be extremely triggering if you have experienced any of the things that I just mentioned. So yeah, I read that, loved it. Can't really rate a book like that, but I do recommend it. Next, I read Coach by Devney Perry. Now, if you want to hear my full thoughts on this, I did do a reading vlog on this, so I will link that down below. That has a couple of books in it that I'll talk about. But I rated it about 4 stars. I did really enjoy it. I am not 100% sure if I will continue the series as it comes out, but I did thoroughly enjoy it still. I just love the way Devney Perry writes. I find her writing very addictive and really easy to just smash through. So it was good. It is about it's another small town romance. We know that I love a small town romance, and this one focuses on a single dad who was in the NFL and he moves back to the small town in Montana where he went to college, and basically bumps into his college best friend who they were always pretty much just friends, and she is working there, and they had a pretty rough sort of friendship breakup kind of thing, and they hadn't spoken in a very long time, and so it's kind of second chance, kind of friends to lovers, single dad trope. I love a single parent trope, so that is one thing if you enjoy, I highly recommend. Small town, nice vibes. I really liked the female main character, she was awesome, and yeah, I do recommend. The only thing I will say is I didn't like, and I mentioned this in my reading vlog, was he was very ownershipy about her, and I'm not into that. Very she's mine, you can't do this, you have to do it, you know. So I highly recommend, but I didn't love the male main character. Then I finally finished A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas, and I ended up really enjoying this. Again, this is in my reading vlog, so I highly recommend you watching that to know my full thoughts. However, I liked it, and I'm now reading the second one. So if you are not a fantasy reader, which I am not, I've never read any fantasy. I tried to read a book by Holly Black last year and I hated it, and I did not finish it, and I got about 30-40% through, and Book of Night, something like that, and I did not like it at all. I didn't like the magic. If you are not into fantasy and it's something you want to get into, I do recommend this. I know apparently there are other books that are good for first time fantasy readers. I would highly recommend checking out Rachel's video for that. I'll maybe link it down below. She got into fantasy just a year ago and has read 800 fantasy books now. So I would recommend watching that if you are interested, but I do think this is a good way to start. However, I will note it took until I got to about 58% until I understood what was was happening. So you kind of just have to make your way through and fumble your way through the first half of this book. But the reason I kept pushing was because apparently the rest of the series is amazing. And if I have to push through like 150 pages to get like 2,000 pages worth of amazing, then I'm like, okay, I can do it. So if you do not know what A Court of Thorns and Roses is about, it is about a girl called Farah, and she is the sort of like the sole provider for her family. Her dad cannot provide for them, so she hunts, and like they're a very low socio-economical family and just don't really have any money, and she hunts for their food. And then one day there is an altercation and she kills a fairy, and she is then taken to like their land. And when she is there, she then meets obviously all the people from this world and learns all about how the magic realm works basically. And that's sort of like, to me, that's like the first whole half of the book, but it's not. There's a lot more happening, but I kind of don't remember because I wasn't really understanding at the time. And then you get past halfway and all of a sudden it gets really hectic and really awesome and very act, and yeah, I highly recommend. I'm currently doing a reading vlog for the second book, so that will be coming soon. And I rated this a 4-star in the end. I feel like the last 30% was a 5-star, but obviously if I had to read that much to get to that, which I didn't enjoy as much, could not have it as a 5-star. Maybe if I reread it understanding what I know now, it would be different, but as a first read, I struggled through the first bit, so yeah. Then read Timid, which is the second book in the Lark Cove series, so I kept reading, and I loved this book as well. This was also in my reading vlog. There was like a weird 30-page area which was like really boring, but other than that, I loved this book. If you want to hear my full thoughts, again, it's in my last reading vlog, so that's where all of my thoughts are. But I really loved this book. It is about a girl called Willa. She lives obviously in Lark Cove in the same small town, and she is actually the one who runs the school camp that the main guy from the other book had bought. So she works there, and she has basically been crushing on the same guy for literally her whole life, and he finally notices her, and that goes from there. It is very interesting. He has never been in love before and has never really opened himself up. He has not a very good path, and it's just, she's so sweet, and so I just like loved her. Then I read The Edens, a short story legacy. Is that what it was called? The Edens, a legacy short story, which if you have read The Edens, I would highly recommend this little short story that Devney Perry just released. I think I read it the day after it came out, or the day it came out. It was like a 50-page little novella. It was so cute. It was all about how the parents got together in The Edens. So if you don't know what The Edens is, it is a small town romance series by Devney Perry as well, and they live in Quincy, Montana, and each book focuses on a different Edens sibling. So I think there's 6 of them, and story focuses on the parents getting together. So it was very sweet. I very much enjoyed it, and I highly recommend, especially if you've already read the rest of the Edens. Like, it's a nice little bonus. I then started a new series, another small town romance series, and this is the Cloverly Farms series by Melanie Harlow. Now, I have not read any books by her before, but look how stunning this cover is. Like, are you kidding me? Stunning. And so they were on Kindle Unlimited, so I have been reading on Kindle Unlimited, and then figured, like, since I hadn't spent money on it, I was allowed to buy the books too. But this was so good. I highly recommend. I'm very much in my small town romance era, obviously. So if you have not ever dived into the world, this series I highly recommend as well. So there is 5 books in this series. This first one, it's similar in the way that to the Edens, in the way that it is small town romance. Each book is about a different sister this time, because there are 5 sisters. So this first book focuses on Branny. She is the youngest sister. She is honestly just the sweetest, and I love her. So then follows the CFO of Cloverly Farms. So the family own a farm. Parents own the farm. Some of the girls work at the farm. Some of them do not. Branny does. She works at the farm and basically has had a little bit of tension with the CFO for years. There is a 10-year age gap though. He is 37 and she is 27, and he has 3 children with his ex-wife. So his wife is not around at all. She basically left them, and so I love him, and I love how well Melanie Harlow shows parenting. I don't know anything about her. This is my first book by her. Maybe she has a few kids, I don't know. But she does such a good representation of what it's like to be a parent, let alone a single parent. I can imagine, obviously I'm not a single parent, so I don't know what that's like. But the way she portrays parenting is just amazing, and I love it. And this story was just amazing. I rated this, I think, a 5-star as well, because I literally flew through this in like a day. I did. A 5-star read from, so 2 5-stars in 1 month. What a time. I just flew through this. I loved it. I don't really have anything bad to say about it. It was incredible. Then I picked up the second book in the same series, and like again, look how stunning these covers are. Like, beautiful. I cannot believe it. This one is about the second youngest sister, Chloe, and she is asked to team up with her like family friend, basically, Oliver, and they sort of have a complicated relationship. This one does have a then and now timeline, which I quite enjoy. You sort of see how they as children didn't get along, and then they sort of did, and then they didn't, and then you also hear about what's happening now. Basically, her dad thinks that she should partner with Oliver to start this company because she really wants to add a distillery to their farm. They've got like a wine tasting area, they've got a wedding venue area, like they've made this farm into like a place to go in the small town, basically. And so she wants to add a distillery but doesn't fully have all of the experience, and Oliver does, basically. And so the parents sort of set up for them to do it together. Oliver is trying to convince her to work with him and basically takes her, he's like, all right, give me a week, I will convince you this is a good idea for us and it will be a great business opportunity for us, blah blah blah. Basically then, obviously, it's a love story, so you find out how they sort of get past a few things that they experienced in childhood that sort of tainted their relationship and like through college and stuff. And I loved this as well. I rated this one a 4 star. It wasn't quite as like gripping as Irresistible. Oh, I didn't even say the names of these books. So the first one is Irresistible, the second one is Undeniable, and then I'm currently reading the third one. The third one is Insatiable, the fourth one is Unbreakable, and the fifth one is Unforgettable. I do have the other 3 that I have already bought as well. So yeah, I'm currently reading Insatiable. And firstly, love the covers. Secondly, I love the town. I really, really enjoy where these people are, and I love that the stories are so different so far. I feel like sometimes in small town romances you can sort of have a bit too much of the same, but I'm really, really enjoying these. Highly recommend. They're also very, very short, like flying through them, because they're like, I think this one might have even been less than 300 pages. 270 pages, like so short. And yeah, I've just loved these so far. Highly recommend. I'm going to keep reading the series, so I will keep you updated on how I go. And lastly, for April, I finished Daisy Hate, and I really preferred Daisy Hates over Magnolia Parks. Now, I know that could be controversial, but I also feel like maybe everyone has their favourite. Magnolia Parks I did enjoy. I've spoken about it before on my channel. I enjoyed it. Somehow, even though I'm not obsessed, I am obsessed, if that makes sense. It's nothing, I don't like much about it, but I still really enjoy reading it, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I read Daisy Hates, which there's a few things I love about Daisy Hate. I love Daisy. I think she is just, I don't know, I'm just a big fan of Daisy. And then you also get the perspective of Christian, who I also loved in Magnolia Parks and I'm loving in Daisy Hates. So that's really fun. And then you also get all of Daisy's brother, Julian, his side. So you get like a whole extra storyline, which I enjoy as well. So I rated this a 4.5. I really, really love Daisy Hates. I really prefer Daisy Hates over Magnolia Parks at the moment. So if you don't know, the Magnolia Parks universe, it is about basically just a group of like socialites. Hi, apologies for her just like making noise down here, but she's just chilling. This is my only time I can film. Yeah, I know. Magnolia Parks, yeah, is about a group of like socialites in London. It's very Gossip Girl vibes, but based in London, which is fun. And basically, there's not like huge storylines. Do you want some more milk? There's not like huge groundbreaking storylines at all. It's very much just like following their life, which I think I struggled with a little bit in Magnolia Park, but I really enjoyed the love in Daisy Hates. I just really like all of it. And so, yeah, that was the last book that I finished in April, which gets me to 10 books, which I have literally never read 10 books in a month in my life, and I'm just having the best time. I feel like all I can think about is books. All I want to do is talk about books and read books, and I'm just having the time of my life. So I hope you enjoyed listening to my thoughts and feelings about the books I read in April. I'm so excited to read more in May. There are a few books on my TBR. Honestly, there's too many. I just can't stop finding new books. So a few of the books I am hoping to read in May. I would love to get through The Housemaid and mix it up and have a bit of a thriller in my mix. Everyone has been talking about The Housemaid everywhere. It's on Kindle Unlimited, so I'm very excited to read it. I would love to read the second Magnolia Parks and see what is happening with her and BJ now. I do want to finish with Luke Off with Love. I started it when I was camping the other week and then just haven't picked it up again because I've been reading so many other things, but I would love to finish it. I was feeling intrigued at the time, so I would love to read more of that. I am in the middle of, well, not in the middle, I've read 2 chapters of A Court of Mist and Fury, so I'm very excited to continue reading that. I also would love to start Flawless and the Chestnut Springs series. It has been, from what I've heard from the booktubers, it is similar vibes to the Edens. So I would love to read that. I love cowboy vibes. Sounds so fun. So I would love to get my hands on that at some point. Oh, and then there's so many more. I would love to read Once Upon a Broken Heart. That also looks stunning. Oh, The Fine Print. I really want to read that series. Now that the third one's out, I'm like, oh, I'm so intrigued by that. One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid is honestly a book that I know I'm going to be obsessed with, but still just haven't read for some reason. I'm also in the middle of listening to Daisy Jones and the Six as an audiobook, so I would love to finish listening to that as well. I've been obsessed with it the past like a few days, so hopefully I'll finish that this week. And then I would love to continue my Cloverly Farms series, and I would love to finish or continue the Lark Cove series as well. So honestly, I'm just going to be doing so much reading. I'm just going to be having the best time with it. So there's going to be lots of content to come, including books. So thank you so much for watching this video. I know it's ended up being a long one. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you. Just thanks for being here. I know that books are a very niche topic and it's not something that everyone loves hearing. So if you are here for my book content, I appreciate it so much. And I'll see you in my next video, which will probably be my reading vlog of A Court of Mr. Fury, which is crazy. So thank you so much. I'll see you in my next video, which will be very soon. Bye.